Good morning and welcome to Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Uduak Amimo. Interesting but not unusual political winds are blowing our way. There's a storm raging over corruption in the judiciary and the Supreme Court in particular, and that adds to questions about the integrity of all three arms of government. We'll be discussing that and much more with the National Assembly Majority Leader and Garissa Town MP Aden Duale. He's one of our guests, along with Manson Nyamweya, who's the South Mugirango MP who belongs to CORD. As always, we have a panel, Mutegi Njau and David Makali. You know them well. Good morning and welcome. And I'll start with our panelists this time around to give us a sense of the political winds as you see them. Mutegi, you go first.
What political winds? About corruption?
Corruption?
You know, I can only quote an article which was written today by Hamid Nasir Abdullahi, who says, if there is corruption in the executive, if there is, Eurobond, if there is corruption in parliament, those committees, what happened in Westgate. If there is, why do you then expect that there will be no corruption in the judiciary?
Okay, Mutegi. David, what do you see as the political wind?
I think the country is in a spin. A lot of things are happening. Corruption that Mutegi refers to is still a big concern to the country and also the political agenda. But we are moving into what I would call the election mode. And so a lot of exchanges, a lot of actions by political actors are targeting how to win favor with the electorate and how to preserve themselves in office for those who are in the two. And even government, how to keep government. So that's going to be everything, and every action by politicians is going to be around retention or winning over numbers. And so we expect to see more skullduggery politics, backstabbing. It's going to get nasty unless something happens. So we need prayers.
Right. And on that note, Mr. Duale, a country that needs prayers. We've talked about the corruption and the skullduggery that's going to take place. What do you think about the so-called allegations of corruption in the judiciary? You're saying that the Chief Justice should resign.
Yes, I think when these things came up, one evening I tweeted that can the Chief Justice confirm that now corruption has permeated the judiciary and the Supreme Court? And in 2 minutes the Chief Justice tweeted back and said, not at the levels of Parliament.
You had a tweet?
Yes, it was about 11:30. And I was shocked that it was about levels.
Admission. It was admission.
And yes, as Ahmed Nasir said today, corruption is in the body and the spirit of the Kenyan society. But the judiciary has a special place in the constitution. That's why the judiciary is called the temple of justice. The executive is a unique. It's been elected by the people. It's a group of politicians. Parliament is the same, it's a group of politicians. But look at the judiciary. In 2003, we had the radical surgery. In the new constitution, we vetted all the judges and the magistrates. We created an independent reform judiciary where the president has absolutely no role in the appointment of the Chief Justice. We have an independent Judicial Service Commission. But today, the Chief Justice is mentioned adversely in a Public Accounts Committee report before Parliament. We are seeing a bribery allegation in the top...
he was mentioned adversely, but he responded.
No, he has been adversely mentioned, and recommendations are there, and he refused to appear before the committee. The report is before Parliament. It should be debated, I think, once we open. In fact, I want to ask the House Business Committee.
Was it a personal... was he mentioned personally for propriety or... as the head of the judiciary?
Makali, you need to get a copy of the report. In fact, the Chief Justice was mentioned personally in terms of allowances that he was getting.
To be fair to him,
we responded and saying that
I think the report is public. It has been tabled by the Public Accounts Committee. Honorable Nyamweya is a member of the Public Accounts Committee. He will talk about it. So it's not a question of Makali and Mutegi saying no, this. I think after we leave here, you can get a copy.
Yes, we
so he has been himself the former Chief Registrar of Sholeya top management team. have been mentioned.
Okay, so let's be careful not to. Just a minute, Mr. Duale. I need to correct you. Let's be careful because the Chief Registrar is facing charges to do with corruption. You say that the Chief Justice was mentioned adversely. He's responded to the mentions. We've had him on the show responding to those. He's written to PAC, and so let's not be careful to mix issues.
I think you don't need to gag me. What I'm talking about,
not gagging you, setting the record straight.
It's not the case in court. What I'm going to talk about is a public accounts report on the judiciary, which is public document, which is supposed to be slated for debate, I'm sure next week when we resume. And the Chief Justice, the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, a number of top officials are adversely mentioned, leaving aside what they are facing in the judiciary. So as I said, the judiciary is referred to everywhere as a temple of justice. And I mean, you can't compare the judiciary to the executive and parliament or to the other spheres of society. That's where Kenyans work every morning to get justice. So if that justice is bought, and you know the whole thing is about even a cartel of lawyers. The lawyers in town have become, in my opinion, the conduit, the conveyor belt of corruption. So look at from 2003 when we did the radical surgery, look at the vetting of judges, look at the Independent Judicial Service Commission, and even look at today. If you ask me, there's nothing will come out of the Kobia Commission. Because Kobia will give a report to the Judicial Service Commission. In that commission, there are people who are mentioned in this allegation. Senior Counsel Ojiende is mentioned. My good friend, the Judge of Supreme Court, Wanjala, is part of the judges who wrote the Kidera Waititu. So what they're doing is a circus. I mean, the Chief Justice should have called independent institutions to investigate the matter. I mean, you can't be mentioned when your house is on fire. You look for fire extinguisher from the City Council of Nairobi to put down your fire. The neighbors will help you. But you can't say, I'm going to use the extinguisher in my house to put down the fire in my house. And I think, as a country, we have lost the war on corruption. That was the last institution to save, and now I can confirm that's why corruption cases are not moving in court. Today, you are taken to court by anti-corruption. The next day, you're getting an injunction.
Okay.
Governor of Muranga, governor of many governors went and got injunction against their cases in court.
I think let us not take the issue of corruption simply as Honorable Duale is speaking. Corruption needs from the top, there to be tackled from the top. What it requires is the political goodwill to fight corruption. And this squarely rests in the executive. It does not rest in any institution. The people who are supposed to fight corruption, it starts from the executive towards the prosecution side, because unless that is handled and unless the government is serious to come out strongly to fight corruption, the government and that head of state, not anybody else. Forget about the issue he's talking about the judiciary. Yes, it's mentioned adversary. It's not a big issue as compared to what is happening in the country. The government allocates resources through the allocation of resources. That's how corruption is fueled in all the systems. So the first and foremost, where the buck stops, and unless we are careful, this country is going to be torn apart because of corruption. And people are using corruption to entrench dynasty in the country. People are using corruption to make political appointments. So anything that, any decision being made, any political appointment being made, people look at it as a way of protecting certain people to perpetuate corruption. And unless we stop glorifying, and I urge my colleague, is the leader majority in parliament, to say that we have lost the war. If he says we have lost, then where are we headed as a country? He is the majority leader in parliament. So where we are, is he saying we surrender? Where do we surrender? We go.
Actually, would you like to recall that statement?
No, let me tell you.
What I'm talking about? I'm just thinking.
Let's be very honest with one another. The 2010 Constitution created, the Reform Progressive Constitution created independent institution outside the executive, outside parliament, outside the judiciary to deal with corruption. And that's why, the opposition always lose track. Corruption is, the war on corruption cannot be fought by the president. The president can in fact only fight corruption in as far as the executive is concerned. Independent institutions, the Auditor General.
Let me finish. And as you continue,
independent institutions like
just a moment. Anti-corruption body.
Sorry, just a minute. So that you can respond.
Yes, anti-corruption body. The other day they gave a report. All right. When the head State House complained, the report was changed.
Which report is this?
You know it, about ethics, the employment, manpower and everything from the two officers, that is also the president and the deputy president. All right. So the report was, you see, the problem we're having here is there's political interference, and therefore when is political interference from the very top, all right, how will people work? There's been interference by the deputy inspector of police. All right, in institutions that are supposed in institutions.
Let's have a coordinated discussion. I say this, the new constitution provided independent institutions in the war against corruption. And if there is an institution to be blamed, it should be the institution that oversights those institutions, which is parliament. There is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, independent, outside the presidency. There is
it independent?
Yes.
It is not. Do you remember the other one? The commissioners were hustled out.
I'm not talking about
the office of the president.
I'm not talking about perception.
And one of the commissioners, has made a deputy commissioner in Canada.
I allowed you to speak, so you allowed me to speak.
Okay.
And let's have a focused discussion. Within the the reading of Article 251, and it's not mine, it's in the Constitution. There are independent institutions, Mutegi, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Auditor General's Office, the Office of the DPP, the Office of the Controller of Budget, and the DCI. All these four institutions, under the Constitution, they get their money from Parliament. They are only oversighted by Parliament, the two houses, and they have a sole mandate, and they don't work at the whims of anybody. So you don't believe.
That's theoretical.
Let me finish. The president, under this new constitution, the current president in the current presidential system, has the function of laying the policy within the executive. And let me tell you, the president, under this current government, through his powers, has given more resources ever in the history of Kenya to those institutions to carry their mandate. It's only under this government that there are more people taken to court or prosecuted for corruption, over 375, both in the county and the national government. But if you look at the corruption in Parliament, for example, committee sittings, mileage, the so-called, the President of the Republic of Kenya has no control. Parliament runs through Parliamentary Service Commission. If you go to the judiciary and it runs under the Judicial Service Commission, it's independent. So when you say just because you're in your position, oh, it's the president, I mean, when a judge was taking 200 million, perceived 200 million, alleged 200 million, and that judge sold the where I believe, again, maybe only one judge, about 7 judges in that case, so they must have shared the loot. I don't believe the judge, Tunuya alone can pick 200 million.
These are all allegations.
Yes, all allegations. Yes. There's a Judicial Service Commission which is independent of the 3 other arms of government. So why I'm saying we are in a crisis, the temple of justice that was supposed to be the Caesar's wife is no longer the temple of justice.
There are two things that you made which are controversial here. One, apart from the conclusion that the war on corruption is lost, which is very controversial coming from you.
Absolutely.
But the more important thing you said is that the Judicial Service Commission's action of setting up a committee to look into the allegations is just a waste of time.
Absolutely.
You don't expect anything to come out of it.
Absolutely.
Should it not have done that under the processes that it's required to follow leading up to eventually the appointment, if that comes to be, of a tribunal by the president?
And Makari, if you ask me, there are a number of, grey questions being asked. The Chief Justice received this affidavit in 2014.
November.
Why did he kept it? Why did it come out now? What was he doing it with it? 2014. He's bringing it now in 2016. The number of questions. Secondly, does the Judicial Service Commission have forensic investigative capacity to find out if Justice Tunui got 200 million? What Parliament can do, or the executive, when you are faced with such a mega problem, you go look and use institutions to investigate. For example, today, the Public Accounts Report in Parliament, it recommends anti-corruption to follow, DPP to follow. Why? Because Parliament doesn't have the investigating capacity. So, when you give, you tell Madam Kobi, I have a lot of...
After establishing wrongdoing, they recommend those institutions to take charge or to take up the matter.
But they're saying...
What they're doing right now is establish whether...
They're saying they will ask for a tribunal to be set up.
Okay.
A tribunal will need facts and figures and evidence to be established. That can only be given by an institution with a capacity.
No, that is the law. The Constitution requires...
The Constitution is very clear. The Constitution is very clear. Because the way to follow is very clear. If the report comes that they suspect you got the money, then a tribunal will be set, and it will be appointed by the president. All right?
Yeah.
And other facts, including that he bought 108 acres of land, will come out to play. Because when you set up a tribunal, it does not narrow itself to those specific allegations. It is given a wide opening. And the tribunal will investigate all the allegations. And let's be fair to the judiciary. The Chief Justice is leaving. He has given a notice he's leaving in June. So let us not make him a point here. Because actually he's leaving. He's not going to be there at the end of June. So he's not holding the job. So the big issue here is, let us not...
But just a minute, please.
The big issue that the country is faced is there is corruption. It has touched the highest level of the judiciary, right? Unless something's done, this country, we're headed to anarchy. We are not going to hold a republic unless something's done. We want to elections. If people say that you can buy justice, all right, where will we go for arbitration? That's a very basic issue.
The problem in the run.
All right. Because we must trust our courts. If we cannot trust our courts, then we are in a crisis. And therefore, that's why I'm saying that let us not take this issue lightly as we're talking, because these issues, unless corruption is handled more seriously, unless all leadership is involved, that is opposition and the government, to address these issues, we are not going to have a nation.
Mutegi, you were challenging Mr. Duale.
Mr. Duale, he said, this man of man, he said that there is no political will, and you are trying to deny that. When claims were made that members of parliament were making false claims that they went to Garissa, like you, or they went to wherever, and they didn't. I go to Garissa every day. No, some of them, it was claimed that documents and investigations done, and the speaker made a statement about it. And what happened after that? He went to State House, and the matter was... So what happened to that matter? In Parliament, you are the leader.
No, Mutegi, from where I sit, we were in State House for a different business, and there was...
When you came out,
finished. There was a Kamkunji, and I'm sure my colleague will agree with me, of all members of Parliament. What the Speaker did was the Speaker asked for an audit of the financial systems, administrative and financial systems of Parliament as the chair of the Parliament Service Commission. And it's not the first time. Many institutions do. Even Royal Media can ask for an audit of their systems by anti-corruption, so that you reduce pilferage, you reduce waste, you look at loopholes. So what the Speaker did. If there are allegations of misuse of mileage claims, that again comes to individual members of parliament. The systems are there.
I think the point Mutegi is making, no, hold on, you're not responding to the point that Mutegi is making.
Right.
The speaker came out and said that there's corruption within parliament. I would like it investigated. And your fellow colleagues in the House put so much pressure on him that the whole issue died down.
No, I mean, Udak, the speaker first, let's get anti-corruption were called to parliament to audit systems. They were not called to parliament to audit individual members of parliament. Members of parliament, a number of them are facing court cases based on their CDF.
Anti-corruption auditing.
Their members, yes. Anti-corruption body, one of its mandates within the EACC Act is to audit systems. And that is their act. But when the systems were audited, and we had a Kamukunji, by the way, there are even staff of, senior staff of parliament who are in court over the 500 million loss in parliament. They're in court. From that, there's corruption in parliament. Even within the top ranks of the financial department are in court. But on the particular case I talk about, it was an audit systems of parliament. And parliament is not immune. I mean, there are a number of our colleagues who are in court over the issue of their CDFs.
What about
not in this parliament.
Mileage claims?
Of course, mileage claim is somebody needs to verify. And the citizens can verify. For example, when I go to my constituency in Garissa, I don't use my government vehicle. I have never used it. It's against the law. Secondly, if I'm out of the country, or if I'm not going to Garissa, I've stayed in Nairobi, then I don't claim. I mean, these are systems. I mean, you can't just claim like that.
Those are systems.
But thirdly, there is no crime in the member for North Horr who travel 2,000 kilometers to Marsabit to claim a mileage.
There was something else that Mutegi brought up which would be interesting for you. You were making the point about the Constitution and the independent offices that it establishes. And Mutegi, your challenge was that with all these supposedly independent offices, we have seen challenges on their independence in their operations.
Yeah. For instance, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, former commissioners, how are we left without commissioners?
And can I comment about the former commissioners?
Absolutely.
About the former commissioners, one lady who I know, she was offered a job, Miss Nsongo. And when she was told before she left, and then she was told that we will give you a job. The other one refused. Yeah. All right. So that is clear interference. And the person, the lady was given a job almost immediately. She got a posting.
No, I think his point is made clear. Let me answer.
Yes.
Mutegi, we don't need to go into individuals, how they got jobs and all that. Within the establishment of these independent offices in the Constitution again has provided, within the same article, the procedure and the process of removal of those. Let me finish. How they are removed is stipulated and is done by Parliament, where Nyamwea sits. Okay.
Mr. Dwale,
let me tell you.
we're talking about different.
We stayed without commissioners. The same thing is happening without Auditor General. The Auditor General interfered with him.
With employment.
With his employment. Financing, staffing. So when you have to say they're independent, that's nonsense.
If I'm to finish, I'll finish with Mutegi.
You're not addressing the question.
We're not talking about, we're not talking about the one who resigned. The one who resigned is a different. But let me talk about the ones who were removed. And they were removed through a process anchored in the Constitution and by Parliament.
There is none was removed.
And Parliament.
There is none was removed.
No, the ones who are removed. The chair was removed.
He resigned. The chair resigned. Please, your memory should be correct.
If you allow me,
you are giving wrong.
If you allow me,
okay.
A petition came to Parliament. It went through the relevant committee. A debate came to the House. The House resolved that Matemu and Irene Kaino are removed, and the President to set up a tribunal. Before the President set up a tribunal, they resigned. Let us not peddle rumors here. I mean, I speak for facts.
But Mr. Dwale,
before then, what had happened to Irene?
Yes. And for you and Mutegi and Udik different. These gentlemen who sit in the House participated in the committee, participated in the House deliberations. You can get the Hansard. Today he can't come and say,
I think you can get what I said in the hazard.
So, but the question, what I said in the hazard, how they were removed?
No,
that is
what I said in hazard.
Yes.
What I said in hazard, this was witch hunting. There was no basis for this.
So a process was done.
No. There was no basis for that. There are no facts. But because of majority of turn-on numbers, the misuse of power, all right, was used. And this was happening in Parliament today, that institutions which are independent, like Auditor General, we are getting Parliament being used to pass amend sections of the Act.
Let me answer him then.
Of the Act, all right, of the Act, so that you can reduce
all the questions. Let me answer.
You can reduce the independence.
Okay, let me answer.
You can intimidate this institution, because the whole process here is that if you don't do this, we are going to intimidate you. And what they're doing, they're intimidating the Auditor General at the moment. The issue is about auditing of security expenditures. Because of that number, because you know the only way Parliament works, and unfortunately that's the tradition worldwide, is the majority will call the day. Whether they're right or wrong, that's the answer. And therefore the fact that this has been amended, and some of the law which has been amended, people have gone to court, they have been found to be unconstitutional. And therefore, that shows how sometimes...
No, the Auditor General is still in court. Not been found unconstitutional.
No. There are sections which have been...
for the Auditor General's Act?
The others, whereby Parliament has passed...
Public Audit Act, not yet.
Whereby Parliament has passed, and the law, the courts have removed those sections. That shows the point we are saying here, that Jubilee is using wrongly the turn of numbers. And it is not good for this country that to continue on. Can we sober know that we have got one country? Know that the Constitution passed this, it was done constitutionally. Let us not pass some acts through the back door to actually bring acts which are unconstitutional. And you know them. The one thing I know, you're bred, you know them.
Okay.
Let me just answer one thing. You know, Udak, in 2003, when NAC came to power, the same court leadership was in NAC. They had 165 members of parliament against KANU of, I think, 58. So Tynergy was there. You know, when you're a member of parliament, whether you are 20 or you are 10 or you are 200, you must fulfill your legislative duties. You know, this idea of the crybaby. Every time when you fail, you say tyranny of numbers. But let me come to the issue. We have sorted out. The Constitution is not in vain. It tells you appoint Mutegi under this provision. Mutegi can be removed through this provision. So the side shows is not my business. My business is a petition came to Parliament. Two, let me come to the Auditor General. The Auditor General has an independent office. But the Auditor General, again, cannot have absolute authority within the Constitution. That's why Parliament cannot have an absolute authority in legislating. That's why the President has been given Article 115. That's why the judiciary can rescind a whole law passed by Parliament. So there's always checks and balance. But from where I sit, the Auditor General himself, and he knows it, has no absolute power. In fact, he's supposed to be audited by another audit firm appointed by Parliament.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, you cannot say you are independent in absolute, you know, open-ended scenario. But, you know, when members of Parliament do not do, for example, I'll give you an example, the issue of the Chief Justice, the three names. If you get the Hansard reading, the voting, there were more opposition MPs who voted in that clause than even Jubilee. Then the next morning they tell you we're going to court. I mean, the court has a function. But you as a member of Parliament, Manson Nyamweya, you have a function. I mean, there were 28 members of Ford Kenya in 1992, and they used to perform better than 133 we have today in court.
Okay, we have to take a break now. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Our SMS number is 22422, or you can tweet us using the hashtag Cheche.